Hello, family. Welcome. Hello, family. Welcome to Source Energetics. My name is Ashtara, mission to bring you some of the highest frequency content. And this video is actually an oracle card reading, an energy reading that I created for my Patreon community. And it ended up being one of the most valuable and profound readings that I've done in a really long while, maybe even years. And I know that it's not going to resonate with everybody just because of the nature of these types of readings with this level of depth. But I wanted to share this with the YouTube community, first of all, because it was so profound and I felt like maybe some other people can benefit, but also to kind of give you a preview into what it's like to be in my Patreon community. And one of my friends was literally yelling at me the other day because I don't promote my Patreon community enough or like explain it enough, because it's really literally one of the highest value subscriptions you could possibly be in. And I know a lot of other creators and YouTubers use Patreon to either have like extended forms of content that they already share on YouTube or just some added value, but I approach it in a whole different way that it's literally like having me as one of your close circle guides. I put out 3 pieces of exclusive content that you will not find anywhere every single month. It's energy readings and light language activations that you won't find anywhere else. And this entire network of energetic architecture that I literally nurture. And so it's super, super valuable. And I'm starting this new approach, as you'll see in this video, where I'm gonna start having more of like this casual hangout sesh where it feels more friendly. It's not just like a one-off oracle card reading, but I truly like sit down and have a conversation with you and unpack the energies of the times. So kind of really enjoy this type of vibe. So I hope you enjoy this reading. And if you like to see more, obviously check out the link below. My Patreon. It's Patreon/Starseed Energetics. And either way, whether you join that or not, I hope and know that this message will bring you so much light and clarity through these transitional times ahead. Sending lots of love and enjoy the reading. Hello, family. Welcome to this September update. And this is going to be, I think, sort of like a long chat, a long chill, a hangout session. That's the vibe that I'm getting. And I know that this looks a bit different visually and audio visually. And I think everyone's kind of used to me using different devices to do whatever. But I'm using my laptop now and I'm using the Zoom platform because sometimes when I record with other interfaces on my laptop, it literally just crashes in the middle and I just lose all of everything. So that's been something frustrating. So I just want to avoid that. So I'm using, it's like having a Zoom meeting together, except I'm recording it by myself. Okay, so I feel like it's gonna be a good hangout. I want to chat, like, other than the energy update, I will go into the energy update. I have a plethora of oracle cards here, so don't worry about that. But also the reason why I wanted to use my laptop today, and if you guys are cool with this, maybe this is something I'll keep doing. I just didn't want to use my phone. And I had a good chunk of time during July, obviously, when I was in the jungle. Like, I know I'm in Bali all the time, but I was like in the jungle where there's not really any service when I was in Peru. And the rejuvenation that I received from literally staying away from all of these frequencies, especially like my mobile phone, was so life-changing that after I came back, I just can't handle it that much anymore. And so I noticed like you could put your phone on airplane mode, but it's still not the same. So sometimes I just want to just turn it off. And it's just a thing. Like, I don't want to use it all the time. I mean, I'm grateful for it, but I just, like today I just want to use this. And social media, it is like such a dopamine hit, or it's just, yeah, I'm not so crazy about using it all the time. Hopefully you guys are not using it too much, but I am literally fascinated by people who are using it every day and like all the time. I know a lot of people who are using it so much every day, and I can't believe it. Anyway, oh my gosh, this moon was crazy. So a couple days ago, was the full moon, and I didn't realize, because I don't like chase after astrological information, until I noticed that my emotions and everything was fluctuating like crazy, and this particular cycle of my feminine moon cycle that is coming up, is upcoming, has been literally as if I'm just hitting puberty. Like, it is so drastic. And then I saw somewhere that the moon is super, super intense. But I feel like we always have some kind of like a special moon that when you read the astrological information about a certain moon that is going on, it always sounds like it's the most ultimate moon of all time. And then it just keeps happening again and again. It's like some kind of rainbow, super wolf, blueberry, strawberry, raspberry moon, the brightest in the sky, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa. And then it's happening again and again and again. And I'm sure it's true. I'm sure it's a fact, but it just sounds like there's always these portals that you can't make it up, but it just keeps happening. Anyway, I got myself a cup of tea and a cup of cacao. I have two because I know this is gonna be a long sesh. I usually have two beverages, one of it which is for more of like a nutritional drink, or if I need a dose of wholesome caffeine, like a matcha or a cacao. And then I have one for hydration, which is just herbal teas. Because I always have like at least 2 cups of drinks. Let me just stretch into what I'm feeling. I feel like this month, as I'm recording this reading, is a turnaround. And I know I keep saying too, when I'm doing energy updates, like, wow, it's a rebirth, it's a serious portal, like all of this is happening. And I'm not lying to you, just like the moons, how the moons are always so intense. It's always like the energy is so intense. I'm just describing what is going on. But yeah, for me personally, I've been feeling into really getting the visceral embodiment of all of the realities that seemed a little bit more distant. And while I am integrating my consciousness more in this reality, because I'm very etheric, like energetically etheric. And so my mind could be running in a million different quantum scopes at once, but I'm learning to channel that through this vessel and through the third dimension. And as that integration is happening, so it's even like if you dissociate yourself from what is going on, because it is not something that you would like to experience, and if you are etheric in nature, then you're really good at doing that. Like, you could quite literally project yourself outside to a different reality or different timeline. But learning to integrate that through your vessel and becoming better at truly observing what is going on, and all of this also comes with a deeper heart activation. And once you really stabilize and anchor into the profundity of your heart, you realize that it is the ultimate protection from this entire reality scope. And that enables you, being your heart fully open, enables you to experience reality while not dissociating, but having even a higher level of protection or a higher level of buffer than if you were to dissociate, which is essentially you're kind of bypassing for dissociating. But I don't know, I'm going off in this tangent. Hopefully it's like relevant for most of you. I've honestly been eating so much food for the past couple of days, past few days, I would say. And I have phases of this personally. And I believe that as I truly ground more, I won't need to go into these cycles of eating copious amounts of food in order to really stabilize and ground, like really ground myself in this other way of physically consuming all the food, which is inefficient for a lot of reasons. Digestion is not a very effective way to use your energy. And I say copious amounts of food, I mean copious amounts of food. Not like a mukbang level, because those are fascinating and I think it's interesting, but still, like for my body and for what people would assume that I eat. I go through these cycles where I just eat a lot, but I just let myself go through that. It was so intense, but I am so much more observant at witnessing all these shifts. Like when I get into these, because for the past few days when I was eating that much and when I said that I felt super moody, I wasn't in a stage where when you're less refined in your awareness, then you literally feel like something is going wrong with your life, or that you're kind of stuck in this phase and something is like literally something is wrong. But now I don't feel like something is wrong anymore. I'm just like, oh, this is just flowing through, and I'm having a phase of, integrating these energies. And I could definitely feel too, like super sensitive around where these threads of energy is coming from is usually not from me. Like literally sometimes it is from the food that I eat. If I just eat like junk food or things that help you dissociate from energy, then I could feel the effects like the next couple of days. Like, wow, that whatever I ate a couple days ago is making me feel dense emotions. And there's nothing wrong with anything that's going on, but it's literally like what I chose to eat. But sometimes I could definitely feel the collective network of energies from different people or different influences. Like, for example, if my family is thinking about me or my old friends are thinking about me, I could feel those right away. And they're not the most evolved people. And so whenever they do have me in their mind, it's not that they have negative intentions, but, that thought projection or that feeling projection from those groups of people definitely are not the most pleasant to experience. And so I just am becoming hyper aware of where all of these things are coming from and allowing it to pass, and utilizing all of my toolkits of awareness to transmute them. And it doesn't take me that long to center back, literally just like a couple days, and I'm pretty fine. But anyway, with all that being said, I hope that this rant is not like unwelcome. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about this. Do you like this if I'm just ranting about my experience? I'm guessing that it's relatable for some people. Otherwise, why would I? Anyway, I think it's super exciting because, as I said, this is literally quarter 4 of 2023. Nice. It's a new chapter, but it brings a whole new influx of energies. Like, I think that September is going to be a very exciting turnaround of different energies, and it's harvest season. It's quite literally harvest season in terms of agriculture for the most part. And I believe it's directly parallel to harvest season in everything that we've been working on this year. There is a cycle that is so relevant to the Terran flow. And as we're wrapping up this year, imagine all of the work that you've done through the opening of the portals of this year. You're going to see some of that blossom out. And whether it's more internal or external or both, you will have the same level of certainty around this is the true product of everything that I've been working towards. And I think that's exciting. Okay, enough talking. I got some really cool Animal Apothecary oracle cards, and these are so awesome. So I want to read this, and then I want to actually do this special spread that I saw the author was recommending. So tune in to your heart, ground your energy, connect with your source. We all know. Tune into a specific challenge that is on your mind, that has been on your mind for the past week, maybe past couple of weeks. Tune into a specific challenge. I found that this particular deck, it's called the Animal Apothecary Oracle deck. And it's like mass published. It's from Hay House. So just in case you're interested. Obviously I have no affiliation whatsoever. It's just a mass published oracle card. I have nothing to do with anything. So I found that these cards specifically work really well with my energy, and also when you ask specific questions. So tune into a specific challenge And so I'm going to gain insights on that specific challenge, right? And then I'm going to gain insights from a future version of yourself that has already resolved this challenge. And I'm going to get an insight from that version. And then I'm going to get a connecting card that is the bridge between the current state of this challenge and then the future self that has already resolved this. So the bridge is that one. Okay, I'm gonna pull 2, 3. I'm always open to suggestions. Like, you guys see me just play around with the content forums and play around on also YouTube. Oh, look at that. We have inner conflict resolution. So forget whatever I was saying is not important. Okay. This is so interesting because in this card, you see this is the eagle, I guess. Like, I don't know the official word. Maybe it's a hawk, but essentially the eagle or the hawk. And then you have the serpent. And in the, I guess, ancient perspective, there's always that energy of the serpent versus the bird. And even when you look at the extraterrestrial races, there's this cosmic conflict between, it's like a tail. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're actively in conflict, but there is this notion of the serpent race and the bird race. And the serpent is meant to kind of represent the underworld in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not like that all the time, but in a lot of cases, it represents like this lower world, and the bird representing the ascended realm. I remember when I had this experience, this was during the pandemic, actually, a couple of years ago, when I went to a silent retreat for 1 week. I came home to find a dead gecko in the middle of one of the beds of the room. And essentially what happened is, like, one of the street cats put like half of I'm sorry for the graphic imagery, half of the gecko on the bed, and it was like bloody, and I was like screaming, like, what in the world? And I found out later that apparently cats do that to people they love. Like, I didn't know. I thought it was like a bad sign, but apparently it's a gift. I mean, thanks. But it was such a symbol that I received it after I came back from a retreat. And then another thing happened. I think I went on another retreat or something like that, because I went like during the pandemic, I went to these silent retreats all the time because there was nobody there. It was just me at the meditation center. And the next time I came back, there was bird feathers in the middle of the bed. And it was such a profound alchemy. And I was talking to this shaman, Parashakti. She's the founder of the Dance of Liberation. She was kind of helping me transition through a certain phase in my life. And she was telling me how it's such an alchemical process that has been given by the universe, that I got both of these archetypes as gifts from the cat, I guess. I don't know why I felt like bringing that up, but it's memorable because they're both here. Anyway, this card is about inner conflict resolving. So there's this, first of all, lower aspect of you and a higher aspect of you. And I'm not saying that the bird tribe is somehow better than the serpent tribe. Obviously not. Serpents are so wise. Like, dragons are essentially ascended serpents. But you're resolving this split between, first of all, your lower and higher self. You're resolving the split between the version of yourself that has this challenge and the version of yourself that doesn't have this challenge. Chances are this challenge, whatever it is something that you've been essentially working through all of your life, like literally almost all of your life. It could be, seriously, without you knowing or not knowing, this is something that you've been having this inner conflict about for so long, such a vast majority of your life. And there was a bunch of conflicting beliefs or perspectives that needed to straighten out, but this signifies that you have recently just broken through those conflicts, broken through these inner conflicts, and you did a diligent job at kind of taking apart everything that you believe around this challenge and what is really beneficial to do in order to assist you even deeper. And maybe this is something that you've done already, is to consciously look for examples where if you have a belief that you're trying to deprogram from your life and you're aware of that limiting belief, what is very helpful is to go and surround yourself and look for examples that prove that belief wrong. So whatever it is, like you could come up with your own that is not in alignment with your highest beliefs, and I can guarantee you anything that you can go and seek out examples, and you can request the universe to send you the examples. And once you consciously surround yourself with examples, it doesn't have to be personal friends, but literally just examples. These days on the internet, you can find them and you can follow them and constantly be reminded of their existence. And so, I'm talking about people, but usually these examples, whichever case scenario that is. So I'll share with you an example from me so that you kind of understand what I mean. And you have to apply this to your own challenge, however it applies. It could apply in every way. But one of the beliefs that I consciously cultivate is that you can be as successful as possible while not hustling, while not striving, while not working hard. Obviously, there is an element of alignment and intelligence and devotion, but that example of that New York City mentality. No offense if you're from New York, but that hustle mentality of working 15 hours a day and getting 2 hours, it's like that kind of mentality. Or that Silicon Valley type of mentality where it's like, it should have been done yesterday, just iterate and pivot and launch, and that type of mentality. I consciously choose to believe that when you work in alignment, it can be easier and graceful, and you don't have to work hard for the same level of success or even more. For example, then if I'm choosing that, then I will go ahead and find like 10 entrepreneurs who are mostly chilling all the time and still putting out extreme value to the world, still killing it, still super successful, still super wealthy, maybe even more wealthy and successful and impactful and in service and helpful to the world than some other people who are working their butts off. So that's an example. You could find examples of, like, if your goal is relationships, and obviously relationships, we are surrounded by examples where unsuccessful relationships are everywhere in society. And so if you are the type of person who want to believe, for example, and I use the relationship example because I don't personally obsess over relationships, but I know a lot of people do. Not obsessed, but it's in a lot of people's radar. So if you want an example where you see a relationship, if you choose an example where you choose to believe that divine union is graceful, effortless, and it's passionate for years and years and years to come, it gets more passionate as years and years and years go, because there's this whole belief system about there's a honeymoon phase and then it's just not that exciting anymore. That whole belief, that is a belief that is entrained in people's minds because it's scientific facts. But what if you choose to believe that the more you get to know someone, the more deeply you fall in love, if it is a divine union, the more passionate it gets, the more exciting it gets. It's deeper excitement rather than less. Then you want to go and find examples for that. And you might say, how do you find examples for that? But I know examples like that. And I can say it is rare, but you want to go and surround yourself, even if it's just a few people, few couples or few entrepreneurs. Start with something and you will eventually keep attracting more. So, that is a rant and a half. How long is this going? How long is it been going? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me go into the reading. So I'm actually gonna also pull tarot cards. I haven't flipped them yet. We have La Luna. Two of Wands. Okay, Bridge. You have a relationship with this idea of waiting, this idea of needing to wait for something. So first of all, this might be something that you really want to reconcile. You have a belief around waiting, and you have a belief around how long it takes to get something. I'm gonna just leave it there. You're gonna have to do the work on that. There's a way that you perceive waiting, and it's so interesting. The card below this, the card below this resolution card is actually a similar graphic, but it's a different message. It's nourishment while waiting. So the time that it takes for you to wait for something can be very medicinal. It can come with a lot of blessings, and there's always a reason for the wait. Like, other than just the fact that you're waiting for something, there's always a deeper platinum lining for a waiting period. It's never just about the waiting. It's like, well, I want this and it's not happening. There's something going on underneath in that time frame that is so profound. And I say platinum lining because it's not silver, it's not gold, it's platinum, like the highest possible precious metal option. Is it right? Why is it like a platinum lining? There's an opportunity while you wait for something. It is really never about just the waiting. For example, imagine you're having a child, imagine you're having a baby, and you have to wait for 10 months for the baby to come out. And you might just think like, well, I just want to have a baby. I know you're not going to think like this, but imagine this is like a timeline that you're waiting for, or imagine this is a manifestation that you're waiting for, and there's like this 10-month period, and you're just like, why is it like this? Like, why can't I just get it right away? Imagine if you just wanted a baby and then you conceive and then it just comes right away. Imagine if it just comes in 1 month, versus if you have to nurture it for 10 months as a part of your body, as part of your physiology, and it gives you this unimaginable level of bond with this life form and this shared energetic field and this shared experience between the mother and the fetus and the baby. That's an example of this platinum lining of that waiting period. And this is the case with all of your manifestations and timelines. And it's not just about the waiting, it's not just about the delay, it's never about just the timing, but there is a very hardcore opportunity. There's a very blessing of a reason, and you're gonna start to look for that, and you're gonna start to look for that because that is going to change your life. I will pull from one more. Okay. Sorry. If you see that my energy is like different, well, maybe my energy is always different. I was gonna say, if you see that my energy is different, it's because it is. So yesterday I had a dream that I was kissing a cat, like on the face, and the cat was like loving it. It was like one of the most significant dreams of my whole life. I mean, just how vivid and lucid it was, and usually cats will just run off, I don't know, I felt like sharing. Okay. The reason why I said that is because I was wondering, like, what would I name that cat, because that's like such a significant spirit, a feline spirit. And what came to my mind was Luna. And we have the Luna card. We have the moon card. Oh yeah, we just had this moon. Crazy. Whoa, we have this cat. Jesus, what the fuck? It says no expectations. So I'm sorry, what? You guys saw that of me talking about the cat and the moon and Luna, and then we got the cat and the moon and the Luna. So, first of all, you got this conflict card, whereas the overall message was around resolving your inner conflict and resolving all of the different belief systems. And I believe that's already what's happening, but just do it more consciously. Now, you're subconsciously and emotionally way too attached to the expectations of whatever this challenge is. Like, you literally feel like if you don't resolve this challenge, that somehow life is going to come to an end. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything. But the problem with that line of thinking is that there's nothing in the world that is the end of life. Like, there's just nothing, there's no challenge or there's no manifestation that is so necessary to somebody's life that if it wasn't granted, that there would be no fulfillment. Does that make sense to you? Am I just being too cryptic with how I'm describing it? Like, there's nothing of so much significance in something that it would just be the end of reality. And let me think about this, okay? And it's not about you have to give up on that which you are striving for, but the reason is because there's a million ways to get it. So, for example, if it is love that you are hoping to experience as the ultimate kind of fractal of that fulfillment, there's a million ways to get it. There's a million different options. There's a million different people. There's a million different ways to satisfy that birthright. If it's like abundance or money, obviously it's a very crucial element of life, but there's a million ways to get it. There's a million ways to create abundance. There's a million different ways. And so the challenge here is that you're making it seem like the avenues that you're investing in terms of your energy and efforts and your devotion is not that big of a deal as you're making it seem like. You're making it seem like there's like limited opportunities, there's limited chances, and creating so many expectations for how things work out in that way. So really part of that belief is in limitations, in lack. One of the highest level beliefs that you really want to deplug from is that a certain avenue is the only way, or that, you know, there really is a million different ways to get what it is that you're hoping to get. So it's really about detaching from expectations. And I feel that this entire weight of expectations has been placed onto you. And then the reason why you place it on achievements or these goals or these challenges is because it's been literally placed onto you. Like, expectations were placed onto you more than necessary. Or like, nobody should actually have expectations for anybody, but you've been dealt with a dosage of expectations that are pretty unhealthy from other people, whether that was your family or whether that was your partner or something. People place expectations on you, unhealthy amount and unfair amount of expectations that sometimes didn't fit the alignment of who you are. And so once we're really noticing this is a very powerful activity, it's the fact that if you can just think back to those times where you've just been burdened with a lot of expectations from anyone that were meaningful to your life, and if you can just understand that's why you place a lot of expectations on certain outcomes or certain achievements or certain aspects of your life, and you just choose to release those expectations that were literally thrown onto you. Like, no more expectations. Like this, I hope it heals you to your bones that I am addressing this. I definitely feel like that's crazy. If you can do the math of why is it that you place, I'm gonna keep repeating myself. Sometimes I keep repeating myself to like literally 3 times to get to your subconscious mind. The reason why you feel so much expectations towards certain outcomes in your life and certain manifestations and certain aspects of your life is because those expectations were burdened onto you from external sources. I mean, so when you can address that, transmute that, and dissolve that and resolve that, you will find that it just, like, you don't have to carry around this boulder of expectations on your back anymore that you feel like you have to place onto certain timelines or certain outcomes. Okay, so we're just gonna flush that. You're not responsible for anyone's anything. And I also want to say this on behalf of humanity. I know that a lot of us come with like these burdens of we need to save the earth, we need to save humanity, but honestly, we're not responsible for anyone's anything. There's a partial truth to everything. Yeah, like we're here and we have a mission and everything, but there's another partial truth that nobody's responsible for anyone else's anything. Just live your life and enjoy it. Okay, we have, I think this is about truth. Decir la verdad. What does that even mean? Is it something about truth? To see the truth? 2 of Wands and whoa, victory! What the F? This is amazing. Okay, wow, I'm so excited because this placement, I'm sorry, this reading is so long and it's not something that I prefer. I usually prefer to give out efficient readings under a certain frame of time. This is taking its fine time. This 2 of Wands is giving me the vibe of, I know that this is 2 of Wands. I know that this isn't the 3 of Wands, but this is giving me the vibe of like already receiving what you have kind of worked on a broader context. Because if you see the globe in our hand, it's usually like looking at the bigger picture and foreseeing what is happening on the bigger picture. And this kind of blueprints work, if you know what I mean, like this frequency work that you have been creating. And so this is really about future forward thinking. But this gives me more of a vibe of already receiving it. Because if you look at this specific card, I don't know if you can see her face, but she's looking directly at you. And usually 2 of Wands, the regular cards, don't have this type of vibe. But she's not even looking at the globe. She's looking directly at you. It's like she knows. She knows the future. It's in her hands. And what's coming with that is victory. And look at that, the bird with a crown. We were talking about the bird. And this is about seeing the truth. And this is a similar vibe of like just looking directly at you with the window wide open. And this is the truth, is that you have to see the truth of your victory. It is completely assured. And this is coming from the version of yourself that is already overcome this challenge. And so it's really about the final piece of the work here between this version of yourself that is still struggling with this challenge versus the version of yourself that has already resolved it, which literally says victory. The final piece and the key, because this card has a key on it, the final key is to notice the expectations that you've been putting on, these artificial weight of expectations that are not even natural to you, that you've been carrying from other people, like this outsourcing of expectations from others. And that just seems to be the final. And isn't it so interesting that both of these cards are birds, and then we have the third card with a bird, and with all that talk about birds, it's really, first of all, the bird's eye view, looking at the bigger picture. And I feel like sometimes you get so caught up in the day-to-day progression of things, like, oh, it's not working out this way. Like, you have to look at the bird's eye view. Everything is working out from the bird's eye view. I know that as like from an ant's eye view, doesn't really look like much is moving, but from the bird's eye view, realize that the entire planet is rotating and moving around the spherical orbit of the sun that is spherically orbiting around the central sun that is spherically orbiting around the great central sun, and everything is occurring. You have to look at the bird's eye view. Everything is occurring, and your victory is literally assured. I hope that this digs into your brain cells. And from that perspective, you don't have to feel so much pressure on anything. Like, just chill out, calm down. That's it. Calm down is the message. Okay. So let's see the bridge. Wow. We have all these rainbows. We have sacred boundaries, almost there. You're almost there. And I know that sometimes you probably tell yourself, okay, I'm almost there. Like, you probably get all these messages like, you're almost there. It's almost, it's literally says almost there. You're almost there. Almost there. And then you have these rainbow bridges, like you have transformation. How is that so uncanny? Look at these rainbow bridges, and this is like the bridge. I told you this is the bridge. So you're almost there. You are transforming. This is the Phoenix card, transformation. And it's more meaningful to me because after July, when I was grounding back into human civilization after that entire experience of being off grid, I binge watched Harry Potter movies. And I literally read the Harry Potter books when I was a kid. I would read the Harry Potter books like it was my central life to read those books, and my human life felt secondary to actually living in the world of reading Harry Potter, which back then I was reading it in Korean, but something was just, yeah. There's my, that's really what my childhood was like, reading Harry Potter books like through my third eye and tripping out, because that sounds more like reality than the reality that I knew back then. It's also pretty insane that these are sequentials, 43, 42, 43, 44, and I've shuffled these cards many times already, and the numbers literally 42, 43, 44. So this linear progression is very soon. I know that you've been making quantum leaps, quantum jumps, and like back and forth, but this linear progression of how things like literally unfold, that bend of time and space between the two levels of you, like between the two levels of you, it is about to bridge in linear space and time very soon. You're almost there. You're almost there. And again, the Phoenix is more meaningful to me as a symbol because, oh my gosh, it's another bird. Whoa. That is insane. Another bird. Okay, so the Phoenix card is more meaningful to me because I recently watched the Harry Potter series. The movies is the first time that I watched all of them in one kind of sequence. I didn't even watch the movie that much. Like, I was a fan of the book, but I noticed that in the later movies, I think the director changed and it became a lot better. Like, the first Harry Potter movie was not that great. But the later ones had either a better director or producer, whoever made it different. And in those Harry Potter movies, there's the Phoenix that appears repetitively. And there's like a very signature moment where the Phoenix literally burns into ashes and births again anew. And it's very realistic. They did a really good job rendering that scene. And it feels literally like you're at those stages of ashes of that previous version of yourself. And I think you also feel that you're almost there, and the feeling gets more and more intense, just like how we talk about, like, well, there's always these portals that align, these conjunctions and these moons and these eclipses. There's always these newer levels of things that keep aligning, and same with your transformation. And eventually you've bridged it, and it seems, I would even say, why this end of this year could really be, it could really make all the difference on the linear trajectory of how you look at everything. Of course, with all that inner work that you've been doing, all the progression that you've been making, it will show up in physical reality. What do you think will happen? Like, if you keep cooking something, it'll eventually cook. Like, if you keep making something, it'll eventually be created. And you've been working on it. So the final advice here from this card is the Sacred Boundaries card. It talks about your inner boundaries. Like, have boundaries with your thoughts. Have boundaries with what you allow yourself to think about yourself. Like, just catch it. Just don't scold it. Like, don't be an aversion. Like, I shouldn't be thinking this. That is blah, blah, blah. But just like be lighthearted about it. Just like I was telling you in the beginning when I was ranting, there's always a purpose to these rants, I guess. Because when I was sharing, like, I was having those very difficult, denser days throughout the full moon that just happened, where I felt like these mood swings, but I just knew, like, it's just hormonal. And yeah, let me just observe what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is just not true. And yeah, I have this lighthearted attitude about it. Like, wow, I can't believe I'm thinking this. I'm not going to think that anymore. Like, let me just turn that around. That kind of like lighthearted attitude. Like, thoughts are not that big of a deal. And anxiety is not that big of a deal at some point. Fear is not that big of a deal at some point if you've been doing the work of truly transcending your human subjectivity. If you've had ego deaths upon ego deaths upon ego deaths upon ego death, which essentially is the essence of the Phoenix, you no longer take these thoughts or these feelings or these sensations that seriously in the best way possible. Like, not taking life so seriously, that's the tone of, yeah, I'm not discounting the dangers of an untrained level of awareness being under attack of these mood swings or these especially if it's a clinical situation. But when it comes to certain thoughts or doubts or limiting beliefs, it just, you can't take it that seriously anymore. It's just a belief. It's just a series of beliefs. Like, you just learn to, sorry, my battery, learn to find a solution like that. We have here the higher power. So it's really about surrendering to your higher power every time you have, it's like this breakthrough of these anxiety loops. Like, you notice the frequency of the anxiety loop, and then you notice that as a general whole, instead of believing in that situation or the individuated thoughts or the individuated circumstance, you see it for what it is from the bird's eye view. Oh my gosh, the bird's eye view. That's why there's so many birds. The bird's eye view, looking down at like, wow, these are the complex of thoughts that are the result of these lower density patterns or these lower density beliefs. And let me surrender that. And this Ace of Swords, I love when the Ace of Swords comes up with the Eight of Swords, because the Eight of Swords is like this energy of being entrapped within these mental energies, and the Ace of Swords just breaking free from that, rising above, like just rise above it through the higher power, your higher self. And that same goes for your inner conflict. When you are having these moments of inner conflict, you just notice that as a pattern. And this requires like a very high level of awareness, obviously. But most of you have access to that, just to be able to witness and observe. When you have years and years of practice meditating, it doesn't just end at observing the breath or observing the thoughts during the sitting meditation. Yeah, and we do that for years and years and sometimes for decades. And then you put it into practice where you live like that, and then you catch certain beliefs, and then you catch certain emotions, you catch certain conflicts, you catch the pulling of different directions, and then you apply that with your trained awareness. So it's really just not about sitting there meditating every day 10 minutes in the morning to be like, oh, I meditated this morning. Like, cool, but eventually you apply that and utilize that in these ways. You know what I mean? I hope that this has been helpful. This is a long reading, hasn't it? You guys let me know how this was for you. I mean, again, I'm the type of person who likes to be efficient with my communication, but I felt like today should have been a more friendly, casual hangout. Maybe I'll do this again sometime. And I am looking forward to connect with you really soon on the activation for those who are on the higher tier. If not, I will see you very soon. I'll be releasing a couple more videos on YouTube this month, and I'll just see you around. Sending lots of hugs and love. Bye.